Pivot. I pivoted, I think this is the third year now. Yeah, I think it is the third year. I think when I first started my business, I just was kind of like, I need to do as much as I can, like just to get some money. I'll just do everything. And because I had like a really generalist point of view in social media marketing, I did Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And then, which brought money, obviously, which was great. But then as I went on, I was kind of like, I really don't like this. You know, I want to outsource this bit. So if I want to outsource it, then I need to get rid of it, you know.
G from Ray of Social. Welcome to Rad-Ventures, the podcast that takes you on an exhilarating journey through the lives of business owners and entrepreneurs. Great to have you on the show, G.
Hey, thank you very much. Happy to be
You're
here.
most welcome. So, of course, we know your name and we kind of know what you do, but you give us your elevator pitch, as it were.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I don't like these things, but, you know, we're here, aren't we? Hi, everyone. I'm G from Ray of Social, and I'm a marketer who creates banging Canva graphics for other business owners.
That's fantastic. I have been waiting for that phrase since you booked on. I've been like, I can't wait. I hope she uses the banging Canva graphics line. Yeah, I think we've been connected a while. I'm gonna start there. I can't even remember how we got connected. Obviously, Instagram, because it is the number one platform.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you've recently, well, not recently now, it's a little while ago, you've changed your kind of modus operandi, haven't you? It was slightly different, and we'll learn more about that as we go on. But we got to give a quick shout out to the Generator Gals.
Absolutely. Zoop, zoop.
Both members. Yeah, members. It's okay, I can say that bit because there's two of us here, not like the Freudian slip I did on the last record that I did. So, yeah, great group. Love it. Do you?
Absolutely, yeah. OG member for lifeies.
Yeah, I love it. I wish I could go to the meeting that's coming up next month. This month we're in March now, aren't we?
Yeah, end of March.
But yeah, Leeds is a bit of a trek for me.
Yeah. Not for me.
But not for you.
No.
Because you're from the north.
I'm from the north. Yeah, literally 15 minutes in a, what do I use? Train to get there.
Oh, nice.
And yeah.
Trains are the ones that go on tracks, right? Those funny little, with the steam and stuff, yeah?
It's been a while. I'm obviously just in my office too much by these four walls. I need to get out.
Yeah, I nearly said then about Hogwarts Express, because that's all northern, isn't it? And then I remembered that it's your girl that likes Dobby, isn't it?
It is, yeah. My little Phoebes, she's obsessed with Dobby. In fact, I think I've got a second child, which is also called Dobby at this rate.
I like what was it about the toenails?
She calls me Toesies, and I don't really know why. It's just one of those, she's 9 this month, and it's one of those nicknames I've acquired, but no one really knows why. So she calls me Toesies, but she's always had a fascination with like crusty toenails. I don't know if it's becoming weird at this point. I should get her some therapy. I don't know.
But Dobby, her Dobby toy had rusty, crusty toenails, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that's maybe where it began, but it's just an obsession she's got. It's just a phase. We're riding through this phase.
Crazy. Right, cool. Not she's crazy. Crazy about Dobby with his rusty, crusty toenails. Cool. So, okay, let's get back on with the show. I'm sure we'll revisit other aspects as well. I mean, we've already mentioned feet, which I think we'll come back to later on.
That segment.
So yeah, missed that segment out. Don't put that one in. Okay, so I don't know about you, but when I was at school up north, and I used to walk to school over 3 mountains in the freezing cold with my snowshoes on. I didn't. It's not like that, but that's what the southern people think it's like.
Yeah, pretty much.
I spoke to a career advisor, I think. In fact, I'm fairly sure. And I basically said, they said, what do you want to do? And they said, this is kind of how you get there. Did you have that over in Yorkshire?
Sort of. So I actually was homeschooled later on in my education, but in the beginning we had like a private school, and we had somebody come into that, which was a nurse, kind of like a careers day. Every now and again they'd come in, and this nurse came in, and I think she must have been quite high up because I remember her with a really deep blue uniform, which is obviously, now that I know, that's not like somebody that works in A&E, for example. Anyway, she was like, yeah, I'm a nurse and this is all the paperwork I have to do. And it was at that moment that I was like, I don't want to be a nurse. But I always wanted to be a nurse until I saw this person and all the paperwork. And being too creative, I just was like, you know what? I want to help people, but I don't want to fill in any paperwork. So yeah, I kind of always wanted to be a nurse, but that quickly went down south. And then I just had no aspirations whatsoever after that. Floated through education.
It's interesting you say that because I always wanted to be a policeman
Ooh.
until I realised that it wasn't kicking doors down; it was filling in paperwork.
Yeah. There's lots of paperwork, isn't there? I mean, like, there's still lots of paperwork in my life now. It's electronic, and thankfully I do have someone that helps me with that. But yeah, paperwork's just a pillar, isn't it, that you've got to accept in most jobs.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there are people out there that do paperwork for a living.
Absolutely. Thank the Lord for those people.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Here I am.
We love them. We need them.
Good. So, I guess then. So interested about the homeschool thing then.
Mm.
Is that something you want to talk about, or do you want to move on straight to?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah.
So, what age did you kind of go to homeschool? How did that come about?
So I was in a private school up to the age of about 9 or 10. And then my parents took us all out. So there's 4 of us and homeschooled all of us. And then I left the homeschooling education at 16, went into a job, good old Claire's Accessories, my first job, pretty much working as much as the government would allow me at 16. And yeah, I've kind of always been in retail jobs and things like that to begin with. But my parents took us out just because it fit the lifestyle that they wanted to have. One of my siblings was being bullied in the private school and it just wasn't fitting what they wanted. So yeah, they took us out, but they used the same educational system as we had in that private school. So when I say private school, it wasn't like we went to private school. It wasn't as posh. It was just not a public school. So yeah, it was interesting. I had my siblings as my friends and had to learn social skills and everything else when it came out of it. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. I wouldn't recommend it. Personally,
So did mum and dad teach you then, or did you have a tutor?
So my dad actually taught us the majority of it. And yeah, he just used all these educational books that are from America. It's called the ACE system, which is Accelerated Christian Education, ACE. Lovely. And it's actually created for homeschoolers. So it's created for people who back in like the 80s just didn't have access to a public school near them. So they kind of had this education system. And you get these books which you fill in and then you send them away for marking and things like that. So it's kind of an American system that we adopted, but it's all American. So all the spellings were American and everything else was as it was presented in the US. But obviously it left me with kind of limited resources in terms of qualifications and no real kind of career path in that sense. It obviously taught me, I want to say good-ish maths, but English, and like the basics and things. And any position that I went for after that, I just had to say I had like a certain level. They would test me. I think they do, was it like key skills? Do they do key skills still?
Yeah, key skills.
They sort of like assess your learning levels, don't they? And I always passed those. So I must have learned something. And then obviously just went into whatever position or whatever job from there, really.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever come across a story like that before. Yeah. There's a kid in my daughter's class back in before they finished junior school or primary school, whichever one you want to call it. They took their kid out to their kids, 2 of them, to homeschool them around the corner. And I imagined it was kind of like, the kids just sat in the garage and mum kind of pointed at things on a easy whiteboard. But yeah, back in I guess that was in the 90s somewhere, maybe 2000s.
We'll go with that. I think nowadays, though, it's moved on. Like there are structures in place, there are a lot more resources. There are things that if people do want to homeschool their children, like there's probably a lot more help and support. And, I was one of 4 and all different learning levels, all different ages. And that was really difficult having to mix that. Like there's 8, I think how many years? 9 years between me and my youngest sister. So as you can imagine, she was like, preschool age and I was kind of 11, 12 or whatever. So yeah, it was difficult because there was so many of us at different learning levels. And it's not like I could talk to my mates about, have you seen this piece of history we're learning or anything? So it was difficult. But nowadays, there's so much support. You know, you can go to meet different groups of people who are also homeschooled. They have forest schools. Things have definitely moved on. But from my experience back in that time, it was more of a hindrance, I think, than something that helped me, for sure.
Yeah. So off to Claire's then. I need to Greg's then. I don't. It must be.
It was next to a Greg's.
Was it? Maybe that's why I'm thinking it. I'm like, yeah, the Greg's. Yeah, off to Claire's. Did as many hours as you could, and then you just kind of floated. You said. So when did you kind of start getting into marketing then?
So I actually have always kind of worked in retail jobs. I like New Look, big up New Look, love a good fashion retailer, all those kinds of like high street places. And then I met my husband, who was obviously my boyfriend at the time, and he was in the insurance world, very kind of like stable career in insurance. He was a surveyor and things like that. And so I kind of just fell into the insurance world because he was in it and got a job doing a bit of research for insurance. Then I did like call center work for insurers. And then just kind of progressed in the insurance industry. And I actually always was really bored. I could do it, but it just didn't really interest me. And I was like, oh, it's all right, you know, but pays the bills, but it's boring. Like I'm not excited by it. And then there was a position in an internal position for a marketing exec, I think, in the insurance company that I worked for. And I went for it and I was like, I've got, you know, no experience. I'm just going to go for it. I've managed my own Instagram, you know, like they all say. Gosh, now I'm cringing. Now I'm saying it that loud. But I went for this position thinking, well, we'll just see what happens. And, you know, maybe I can get some experience or some guidance or something. And I actually went for it. I did like a full proposal, full like ideas and everything. And the lady was so amazing. She was like, you've got something, but I need someone that can hit the ground running. And I don't have the time or the skills, resources, that kind of thing to train you as we go. I just need someone to be ready. So on this occasion, it's so. And then I asked her, like, how can I get into this as a career? Like, what do I need to do? Obviously, I know that most people go and get a degree in marketing or they go to uni or whatever. But for me, I was like, what's the better option? Because, you know, I don't want to spend another like 5 or 6 years doing a degree. I've obviously come from a homeschooling background. I have to think on my feet. Like, how can I learn super quick and put that into practice? And then she recommended a couple of marketing courses. I actually then went away and did a couple of the fashion, marketing fashion qualification or something like that. And did loads of marketing qualifications, but in the fashion industry because I was super interested by fashion and clothes and everything. And then I just got a job. I literally just got a job as a marketing exec and had an incredible team of people that were higher than me, like a head of marketing, you know, head of print, that kind of thing, and just learned everything that I could. I soaked everything up as a sponge as an employed position. And again, that was social media in a fashion retailer and just kind of like worked my way up, I guess. And yeah, then obviously now I'm here as a freelancer.
What kind of time period was that then?
Many moons ago. Let's just say that. No, so I've been a marketer now for about 11 and a half years.
Okay.
Quite a while. And so I worked in a couple of different employed positions and then went to actually work for a marketing agency pre-pandemic. Loved that. Absolutely loved working in like a busy design agency. And it was a full design agency. So it was like web development, a bit of client management and like everything. But I did social media. And then the pandemic hit and we all got made redundant. The social media team completely went because they were a web dev agency. It made sense for them to focus on that, the moneymaker, you know, and yeah, they got rid of the social team. And I remember I was on furlough for a little bit, which the whole world obviously was on furlough, weren't they, at some point? And I remember coming home and coming to my husband, and he was working at the time. So he was highly irritated that I was on furlough, living my best life while he was working from home. And I just said, oh, I've been made redundant and I don't know what to do. And I experienced such grief. I've never felt a grief from leaving a job so much because I was so invested and I really loved the company. Like I would have worked there till I was like 75, you know? I wasn't ever interested in anything. I just loved it. And I remember feeling like they were my family and I was like, it's over. Like, what do I do? And I actually messaged one of my really good friends who had a large company. She's doing really well for herself. I've worked sort of freelance for her in the past. And I said, Gemma, like, I've been made redundant. Do you have anything that I can do? because I knew she obviously had this company, and I thought she will know somebody if she doesn't have anything for me to do. And she just replied saying, when are you starting your own company then? And I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, it's not the thing. I just need a job. And she was like, no, but when are you starting? And so I became a freelancer. And 5 years later, here we are, still chugging.
Nice. I love that story. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna share my thoughts momentarily. I'm just gonna move the dog. Sorry.
Yeah.
2 secs. So sorry about that.
That's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, you get to a point in your life. I might leave this bit in. I think I've said it before though. But you find I went self-employed because I got made redundant as well. And I didn't like the job though. They were kind of my family. I didn't like the job. I was setting up something else on the side. Then he closed the business from under our feet. Didn't really know. And I suppose it probably took me about 3 years to get over it, maybe. But what happened? So I went self-employed. My partner then changed her job because I was obviously around working from home. So I started looking after the kid or taking her to school. Then as she's grown up, she now takes herself to school. So all I have to do in the morning now, get her up, make her lunch, pack her on her way. So I'm like, yeah, this is good. Freedom is on the horizon. And then at the same time she's getting older, the dog is also getting older.
Yeah.
But now he's turning into a baby where, he needs to be looked after and petted and carried around and stuff like that. And you're just like, it's okay. And obviously there will be a point where I don't have to worry about that any longer. But at the same time, you're like, poor boy. So yeah, so you think you get to a point in life and then it hits you with a crossroads again. Yeah, interesting you say about the job, redundancy, and 5 years. Because I think it's just been 4 years. I've just been self-employed for 4 years. I set up my business last month, 5 years ago. Though it's a different name. So it sounds like it's around the same time.
Yeah, I think the pandemic and new businesses, they're a different breed. If we're still going, we're a different breed. Because we set up in a time and place where the world was like all over the shop and we didn't know what was happening, and we're still going, like it's to be 5 years in August for me. We're still here with I think we have that mindset of if we can start a new business, like when there's no money and we just keep going with it, we're strong, we're made of tough stuff, we're here to see it out. And I do find that a lot of my friends are the same. They started their businesses in the pandemic and they're still going because they're just determined.
Yeah. I've dropped the car off for an MOT this morning, and on the way back, I was listening to Untold Stories by Lucy Critchley, isn't it? Another member of the Generator Gals.
Mm-hmm.
But I was listening to her first episode, and they were talking about how long they'd been self-employed. And Lucy was saying that she had been freelancing or self-employed for longer than she had been employed. I had a quick think back through my job history, and I think the longest job I had was 3 and a bit, nearly 4 years, I think. 3 3.75 years.
Yeah.
But I've been self-employed for 4 years now. So this is the longest job I've had.
Yeah. You are obviously a very good boss.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that. He pays rubbish. He works me to the bone. But yeah, I was like, that's really weird, isn't it? But because of the roller coaster that freelancing or working for self-employment is you don't time seems to pass differently, doesn't it? It's like I think I saw something on Instagram the other day that said, I wondered what adult was like. I always thought that adulthood was like one crisis after another, but now I realize it's multiple crises all the time and the floor is on fire at the same time. Exactly. I was like, that is self-employed life, right?
It's true. And I think it's an ideal, isn't it, when people say, oh, I don't want to have those feasts and those famine months. But even the best setup systems have those months because we're not employed by anybody, and I get so many of my friends in the beginning, maybe not so much now, but in the beginning, they were like, you've got it so easy. You can just have a holiday whenever you want. Like, yeah, but I actually do have to work. I don't just live my best life and let the money roll in. It doesn't work like that. Or they'll say, oh, you're always on holiday. I'm like, yeah, but I work till sometimes midnight when you're chilling or watching Love Island. I'm working. So I think there's always those bits that people don't see. And then when you say, yeah, but I work all the time, they're like, it is your choice though. And you're like, well, which one is it? You know?
Yeah, you can't win. It's like that, but there is a few couple of things like about employment versus self-employment, I think.
Mm.
And I think I could think of like 3 reasons to get a job.
Okay.
To like, pack up freelancing or self-employment, go and get a job. I can think of 3 reasons.
Okay.
But I can also think of like hundreds of reasons not to. It's like, and people always say, "Oh, you're so brave for being self-employed." I'm like, well, actually, really, am I? I'm like, you've got one job, one source of income. Well, nowadays, cost of living crisis and all that, we've all got like 20,000 jobs
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? But yeah, so one job, one source of income. If someone leaves at your work, they usually don't get replaced. You get half a job or a third of a job. And if you work hard at your job, what do you get? You get more work. Like, oh, well done, pat on the back. You did that really well, Richard. That's now your responsibility.
Yeah.
If I, as self-employed, I have 7 or 8 streams of income. If one of my clients says tomorrow, sorry, Richard, can't go with you anymore, I'd be like, well, why first? Why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to me? You can't leave.
Me.
But has it something I've done? Was it me? But it won't be. It'll be streamlining costs, for example. Freelance is always the first one to go, like social media. But if you lose your job, like me and you have been in that situation. It's like, I'm sorry, we're wrapping the company up, whatever. That's it. Off you go.
Yeah.
That's your whole income gone.
Yeah.
If I lose one client, that's like, an eighth of my income gone, or whatever, wherever they are in the scale of how up the hierarchy they are in the earning tree.
Mm.
And then if I do more work, if I think, actually tonight I'm going to put Love Island on the background. I don't do that. Or maths. I don't do that either.
Don't lie.
Stop lying, Richard. No, I don't. I tell you what I did used to watch. I used to watch Coronation Street religiously.
Lie about that.
You're lying now. But yeah, I bet you watch Emmerdale, don't you?
I have no time for soaps. My life is a soap. Honestly, it's enough.
But yeah, if I sit there in the evening, I think, right, I'm going to do some work tonight, and then I work 6, 7, 8 hours in the evening or whatever. I get money for that.
Yeah.
I don't get and probably hopefully a pat on the back, but I don't get you've done a really good job, Richard. That's now your responsibility. By the way, we're not paying you anymore.
I can't think of one good enough reason why I would get a job, an employed job. I can't even think of one, because I used to think. So my parents are musicians and they've grown up as in that world. And it's always been a case of they are musicians. That's what they do, what they love. My dad was a full-time musician at one point, but then they've always had jobs. My dad's been a cleaner, or my mum's had a career, on the side, because it's kind of been like, it's not a viable job to have that pays the bills, especially raising like 4 kids on. So I've grown up with this mindset of like, I should get a proper job. I can be a singer, fine, but I need a proper job because it doesn't pay. And I've always had that really like insecurity about being a creative. And I remember when I was part of this agency, I mean, like, it wasn't, a £1 million job or anything. It was okay paid. It wasn't badly paid, but it wasn't like, I'm going to buy a house in the Maldives kind of payment or anything. And I remember thinking, it's okay, I've got a proper job. It's fine, I've got a proper job. And then I got made redundant and I was like, you know what? Like, every job is not secure. Every single job is not secure. And that gave me so much security because I wasn't looking for something in a person or in a business, or I wasn't looking to my MD thinking, it'll be fine. She'll figure out a way to still pay us. She'll keep us on. I was relying on myself and I just went, you know what? Like, I can always make money. I'm going to bring feet up. We can always make money, and we have this thing about like, we can sell pictures of our feet. And that is not to belittle that industry, because I know it's hard work. Like, it is hard work. We've tried it. We're not selling any yet, So we're doing something wrong, aren't we? But what I mean is, there is always something that you can do, whether that be sell pictures of your feet, or whether that be you make, I don't know, scones and sell them online. Like, if you just think outside that box, there are so many things you can do to make money. And that is security, knowing that you always have skills, that you always have opportunities, you always have things you can do. And actually, that is the reason why I would never get an employed job again.
Yeah, I love that because it's like that. I realized that afterwards when I've been self-employed. I was like, it must have been a good couple of years, and you obviously you throw yourself out there in this on social media or in networking groups, that type of stuff. I was like, particularly on social media, I was like, I can't believe that someone is making a living by, you know, doing whatever they sell. They sell, I don't know, timetables on Etsy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, I thought we were all supposed to be lawyers or doctors or, you know, Tesco's workers or other supermarkets available and
Yeah.
things like that. But you can sell or make money from anything. You just got to find who those people buy in that.
Yeah, you just got to think.
And that was like a bit of a shock to me when I first kind of realized. But I'll give you the rundown for employed salary, so you know what you're going to get each month. You're not like time tracking.
Do you really
Time
know?
tracking that gets on my nerves a little bit, which is obviously linked to salary. And then the other one is like what for me, for example, I get paid while I'm working, as it were. But so I can't nip off to the water cooler or have a lovely conversation in the bathroom with a colleague about whatever the Coronation Street last night. Because well, firstly, there is no other colleague; it's just me and the dog and whoever I can get to come on the show. Yeah, but if you're feeling crap on a day, you had a rubbish night's sleep, you've had 6 cups of coffee, and you're a bit jittery, then you can kind of make it look like you're busy, right? And you're getting paid for that at your employed job.
Yeah.
You don't get that when you're a self-employed or freelancer. You're on the clock. You're either on the clock or you're off the clock. So yeah, that's my 3 reasons. 3 reasons for employment against the hundreds against. Right, I think we've done like a bit of an epic side quest there, and we should probably resume our show format.
Okay.
So I think we'll do what's now known as the questions.
Mm.
I'm just going to open the phone up because, as I mentioned in the preamble, I haven't done one of these for a couple of weeks and I can't remember them off the top of my head. All right. So I know that you are of a similar age to me, I think, which is nearly 40. Oh no, I'm 40 this year. Ugh.
No, I'm way off yet.
You're not that far off, are you?
No, I'm 39 this year.
Oh, okay. So you're a year behind me. 86 then.
Yeah, 86.
Okay, so we know that you're 39. What's been your favorite age so far?
I'm not 39 yet. I'm 38, so I'm still.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Hanging
Apologies. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard hosting the show. All right, I've got millions of thoughts going on at one time, and I'm trying to look at the piece of paper and look at the camera as well. All right, so we know you're 38.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite age so far?
Do you know, like I just love every year. I don't have like a favorite age really. When I was thinking about this, I was like, you know what? I became a mum at 29, and that was so cliche, but like a really pivotal moment because I went from being like totally free and able to do whatever I wanted every weekend to having, something that's very loud, demanding my attention. So that completely changed everything for me. But it kind of just made me go, what do I actually want in my life? What do I want to do? What do I want to pass on? It made me really think about what I was doing with my time and my life and being a mom. So I think that is a favorite age for that reason, because it made me question things that I was not questioning. But then I also really like age 36, 37, 38, like since becoming a business owner, again, it made me be able to question things and kind of really make me look at what I want to do with the time that I have here. So I don't know whether I don't feel like I've got a certain age where I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was the year, I just think the more self-aware I became, which is probably from like 29, 30, that's been my favorite era. So like my favorite decade, more than anything. So yeah, I don't know. Favorite age is like, do I have one? Don't know.
Fair enough. A good answer. I like it. Cool. Question number 2. What's your favorite quote? This could be a movie quote, a meme, a motivational quote, or any other quote you can think of.
So I probably have 2. One of them I actually have in my office that says, It's just a phase. Someone actually bought me that. I do say that quite a bit naturally. I just say it's just a phase, it's just a phase. And that really got me through becoming a mom because everything that happened, I'd be like, it's just a phase. And I realized like it is just a phase. It was the teething phase of the sleepless nights phase. You know, now she sleeps through the night. Like it's just a phase. And that is something I try and go back to if my business maybe isn't booming or if something's happening. I'm like, it's just a phase, like the moon. Let's just get to the next phase, you know, of the moon sort of thing. So I do say that quite a bit, but I don't know if that's really cliche to be like, it's just a phase, darling. But something that I love, and I think I want it as a tattoo, haven't decided yet, but I'm leaning towards that, is the phrase of energy does not die, it merely transforms shape. And I heard this.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard this on an audiobook years ago, and it just gave me so much peace. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Nothing is truly gone and dead and buried. It's a case of it just transforms shape, and that gives me opportunities. That gives me like collaborations that might happen, you know, and it gives me possibilities. And it's a really kind of useful, positive quote. So I refer back to it. I've got it written on like a board in my house, and yeah, I quite like that one.
I like that one. And actually, it's one of Newton's laws.
Yes, it is.
I'm not sure which one, but its energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be created. It can only be whatever it is.
It transforms shape.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. I like it. I like both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it is just a phase.
Yeah.
Like Dobby, though, mind you,
It's a long
actually,
phase. This one, it's been going on for
I just said that, and I thought actually Dobby's probably going to be around for a long time. If she hadn't dropped Dobby by now, and then also that they say that about the emo kids back in the day. It's like they'd say it's now they're saying it wasn't just a phase, Mum, and they're well. To be fair, I still listen to that music, so yeah, it clearly wasn't a phase. Right, okay. I've seen a reel this morning actually. It has upset me because obviously we're 2025 now, so the type of music I listen to is from between 1999, 2005, or 2004. So that's kind of like my jam, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's now 20 years ago. So that is like me being in 1999 to 2004, listening to 80s songs and being like, listen to this old rubbish. And now I'm doing that back in now. I'm like, oh my God. I know, I am most upset by it, but it's not just a phase. Though some things are just a phase. I think that kind of ties in with something that I read the other day about you've survived everything, the worst things that have happened to you so far in your life.
Survive them, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, keep going. Keep swinging, as old Vinnie Jones says on his TV show.
Keep going.
Right. Question number 3. Oh, I'm excited for this one. I want to know what you're going to say. Is Google Suite or Microsoft 365?
I actually had to think about like what those were when I saw this question. Because I was like, what? What's Google Suite? Is that like what I have my emails on? So I am not a systems girly. I have a girly that helps me with that because, but yeah, I host my emails on Google. So I guess Google, but obviously I'm a Mac girl as well. And Microsoft 365 on Teams and all. Like I just can't deal with that. I've trauma from past life.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, having just thought about the answer and what you do, I suppose, apart from emails, it's not like you're writing up Word documents and stuff, is it? Because you spend all your time in Canva.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I don't need it. I did used to have, what did I used to have on my Mac? Something you can pay for. No, it's not Microsoft. It's like a Mac version of something. That was years ago. That's what I used to use.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't use anything. I don't write. I mean, obviously I write my emails, but I write them in like ActiveCampaign. So I don't ever write anything like in a document. And if I do, it would be like Google Drive.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Google. Google Suite is everything that encompasses Google. So Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Mail.
Educate me.
Yeah, so that is basically Google's version of Microsoft 365.
Yeah, but I would say I don't really use it. Like my emails are obviously on Google, back it, but and I have like a Google Workspace, but I just use Asana. I use ActiveCampaign. I use other apps, so I don't need it.
Do you like Asana?
I do.
I'll tell you what I like about Asana. I like when you complete a task, the little unicorn or the narwhal pops up and like, you've done it.
That's my favorite bit. And I love that everything's color coded as well, because that helps my brain. Obviously, our Debs got me onto Asana. I was a Trello girl before I met Debs. And she was like, you'll love Asana. You can color code it. And she actually said there's little unicorns. And I was like, right, okay. And I've been on it ever since. And I use it for all my clients. And yeah, I think with me, like if a system works and I understand it, like I'm just not interested in changing it unless I know there obviously are others available. And it might be that like when those others have been around for a bit, like a couple of years, I'm like, oh, okay, let's see. And that might then I might just switch and I'll stay on that one, But yeah,
Yeah.
if it doesn't need, fixing, then I'll just stay with it.
Yeah, I had Asana for a bit, and then Debs that does Asana got me
Yeah.
onto Moxie then,
Yes.
as well, because Charlotte was like, well, Debs was like, "Ooh, look at this Moxie thing. Go and
Yeah.
have a look at Charlotte." So I had a look at Charlotte, and then Charlotte was like, "Look at the Moxie," and I was like, "Ooh." I was like, "Maybe I'll have a look." And then Debs was like, "There's an '80s party theme." I was like, "I'm in." And then I had it from
Thing,
there.
isn't it? When the
Yeah,
students, you're like, yeah.
and I did get a little bit annoyed with it a few months ago. I think I did mention this on an episode of the podcast, and I was like, put the price up, and I'm not using all the features because it's a full CRM rather than a project management tool, and all I really need is a project management tool.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm out of it, and so I took my with Moxie affiliate link off all my YouTube stuff, which was annoying because I could have done with it the other day. But, so I took it all off, and I was like, I'm gonna give Asana a go again. And I opened up my old Asana and I looked at it and I went, no.
Yeah, that was it.
No, I remember why I don't use this anymore. It didn't have everything I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I was like, begrudgingly back to Moxie. But
Yeah.
if you're interested in trying Moxie, truly try my affiliate link after I just slated them.
I actually like I've used Notion a little bit. I actually have a Canva starter kit that I built on Notion, and I found it really easy to build on there. I've used it. So my clients, depending on my content clients, I will use their system if they don't want to use Asana. So if they've got like ClickUp or Trello, Notion, Moxie, whatever, like I would just adapt to them. So but yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind Notion for building the site on, but I haven't used it for like any of the content creation tasks or anything.
Yeah, I recently started a Notion because I've been trying to get into this podcasting, YouTubing kind of life as a side hustle. It all started because I didn't know what to do with my content. So I was like, I've had my clients now all of them for at least 3 years. And so I was like, and I haven't taken on any more because I've full of every time I'm like, oh, I've got a little bit of space. So another client's like, oh, would you do this job for me? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Or like, here's my credit card, start paying the bills. Or I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, we built some trust now, Richard.
Yeah.
Start doing this. I'm like, okay. So I can't advertise for clients. Anytime I put out a slightly salesy post, I get an inquiry like, oh, hey, can we talk about that? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know it.
So can't do salesy posts. So I was like, what do I do? So I was like, okay, I'll start a podcast. I'll use Riverside, use the magic clips. I'll put that on my social media. And that's what I did. And then, you fall down a rabbit hole. Then you're like, well, I could do this better and I could do that better. And aren't I quite good at talking to the camera? Well, maybe I should do like little vloggy things. And then all of a sudden you do talking head videos in your studio and you're a YouTube superstar. No, I'm not a YouTube superstar,
Pretty
but
much.
you know what I mean? So, so anyway, Notion, I started one of those to kind of track and keep everything going on this side of things. So like, content creator kind of thing, rather than, what is that I'm using now? Freelance business support and administration consultant. So like, Moxie for the everyday client work, Notion for Richard the content creator. And I kind of started it and I was like, and it's very similar to Asana, isn't it? In the layout and everything.
Yeah.
And then I was a bit like, I'm just making work for making work's sake, So I may revisit it, I may not, but I do like it. But good answer with so yeah. Before I finish on Google Suite or Microsoft 365, question number 3. Apple have their own as well, don't they? So they have like Numbers as their spreadsheet program and Pages as their.
Yeah, I deleted all of that off my Mac.
Yeah.
Just like, get rid of all of that. I can't be bothered. But yeah, I think I might have used that in the past because I've been a Mac girl for about 20 years.
Mm.
I've always been a Mac girl, and I have used like their own version of stuff, and I think you paid for it, didn't you? You like could there's a free version, and you could pay for an upgrade or something. But again, it's just not something I use, and I'm becoming. I'm going to say becoming because I'm not there yet, but I'm becoming very good at saying that works for me right now. I don't need to look at something else because that's a shiny object syndrome. And normally I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
what's this? And I'm just trying to streamline things because, I mean, obviously, if it doesn't start doing what I need it to do, fine. I used Trello for years and then they started messing about with like the different tiers and we had to pay for, and then it just didn't work for what I needed. So fine, I'm happy to change. But yeah, I'm very much, it works for me and what I need, and I don't need anything outside of its capabilities. So I'm just not going to look because we could be here all day, couldn't we?
Yeah. I like it. There is a load out there. And then you do get that whole shiny. I might have a quick look at that. Like I think we were in the group a couple of weeks ago. There was has anyone tried Blue?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, let's have a look at Blue. And I was like, no, this is Asana mixed with Notion. I was like,
I didn't even
Asana's
look.
not what I need.
I didn't even look. I just was like, you crack on if you would like to look.
Yeah,
Good.
everybody have a look, apart from me, because I don't need to. Right, let's have a quick look at question number. Great answers there, Chi. I like those.
Thank you.
And question number 4 is, what app can you not live without?
Okay, so maybe the obvious answer would be Canva as an app, but like obviously I'm a Canva ambassador and part of their Canva community and everything else, and I live in it, love it. Like I'm not slating it by saying this, but their mobile app leaves a lot to be desired. Like it's got work to do, And so if I'm ever using that on the go, it's on my iPad because I can't handle everything being in different positions. And because I use it so much on my desktop, it's making it longer for me using it on the iPhone. And I do have a couple of clients that only use it on their phones. And every time we have like a session, I'm like, why do you make it so much harder for yourself? Everything's hidden or you have to click this. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say it's an app, isn't it? Obviously, I live in it and I run my business through it. But on my phone, I don't really love it that much. So for that reason, I obviously have to say Instagram because that is my favorite platform. As a professional, personally, it's got to be Vinted. The app, it's got to be Vinted. I could just spend hours scrolling, and I think sometimes if I'm bored and I don't want to doom scroll on Insta, I doom scroll on Vinted because it's happier.
Yeah, I would think that. I mean, doom scrolling on Insta is fantastic, right? You get that little hit dopamine, and you go and look at that, look at this, look at the other, and there's lots on there. Everything from, puppies to whatever other content you want to look at, right? Vinted, you scroll through there, you're like, oh, that would be great, and then if you buy it, a couple of days later, it's going to get delivered, and then you get a treat.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously favour everything and then get really cross when people buy my favoured items, even though I've not purchased them. Why did you buy that for
I wanted that.
Gosh. But yeah, I love Vinted because obviously I love fashion and I love seeing like what other people are kind of passing on and getting rid of. And I found stuff on there that like a dress that I had 15 years ago, and I actually got rid of it because I got pregnant and it didn't fit anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm getting rid. I begrudgingly got rid. And ever since, I've regretted it. And I actually went on Vinted and I don't even think I searched for it properly. And it came up in my feed and I was like, the memories of this dress. And I mean, I was that crazy person that was like, thank you so much for selling me this dress for £3. Like, you don't know what you've done. Like, there's so many memories I have with the original. And she was like, enjoy your dress, love. She was a bit like, okay. But it's just being able to find those things and purchase them for less money. Such a winner. I recycle my clothes. I like wear something and then sell it on, wear something, sell it on, always in charity shops. And it just brings me so much joy to just scroll on the app and like see what people are selling and buying. And yeah, I love it. I just love it.
I love that answer. Canva quick. I use the desktop, but the app. And I used to do it on my iPad, which was fine because I get the old pencil out and you could do the lines and stuff. But I've never used it on my phone. But I would imagine that you could line things up properly or, connect the lines and stuff. And it doesn't sound very nice to me.
No, I think things are also like hidden within different menus. And yeah, I think you have to either learn how you do it on your mobile or you learn how you do it on desktop because they're not the same. And yeah, it's not great.
I started using it when I set up my business. That was one of the lessons when I was part of the group that I was part of, and the training was Canva. It wasn't like in depth. It was just like this is what you use to make all your fancy graphics, because that was the thing back then. It was, we all made fancy graphics on Canva, and then obviously we moved to then carousels, and then we moved to TV, and then we moved to Reels, and then we went to Instagram Lives. Oh no, that's the other way around. And now we get a mismatch of everything on Instagram. So yeah, Canva, I've been using it for a while. And recently, I saw someone had done some form of Canva course, and I knew that you were a Canva ambassador, and I knew someone else was a Canva ambassador, or I knew someone that is, or was, they was now. But I was like, I'm going to give that a look. I reckon, because my dad knows Mel Perkins' dad.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to use Canva. I'm going to be like, my dad knows Mel Perkins' dad. I'm going to be like Canva pro man.
Okay.
And so I did one of their courses recently, and it was Canva Essentials. And I was like, boom, passed. 10 questions, multiple choice. I was like, look at that, straight on my LinkedIn. Look at that, I passed it. And then the little badge thing said like Canva Basic Essentials or something.
Ooh.
I was like,
yeah.
So yeah,
Sad.
I know. It's not even the design essentials. I can't even find the proper Canva Essentials course.
Oh, Canva.
But yeah, Canva Basic Essentials. That's me done.
Yeah. Do you know what though? That's all you need. Like, obviously, you create graphics for and content for your clients and things, but you don't need like a design degree to do that. You know, you can't just do the basics. If you know how to use Canva for what they need it for, that's all you need. Like, you don't have to be, you have to know everything. Look, there's stuff on it. So I get asked all the time, like, what do you use for whiteboards? You know, do you use whiteboards on Canva? Have you ever created a billboard on Canva? No. Like, and I don't think it's good enough for that. But I'll be honest, I love it for what I do with it. And it's great for a lot of stuff, but it's also not trying to be anything that it's not. You know, it's very open about, yeah, you can get something printed, but I probably suggest you use our printers because there's some sort of magic that goes on in the background that makes it not come out absolutely shite, you know. But if you do something on Canva and take it to a local printers, if you haven't set like the print bleed or the margins or something, that's the reason why. It's not because it was created on Canva. It's because you don't know how to design it properly to take it to a printers, you know. So yeah, it's hard, isn't it, to say, like, I get this all the time, like, Canva's not good enough for this, Canva's not good enough for that, or I think it's, if you don't know how to use it for what you need it for, that's problem.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, printers that I've worked with have always been like, Richard, you need to put this in CYMK or whatever it is, not RGB, or whatever. Or they've been like, can you turn the print bleed on for us instead? Oh yeah, no problem. And then they're like, this is how you do it. I'm like, cool. I mean, you know, the Canva Essentials Basics or whatever it was called, it has an hour and 10-minute worth of video. I was like, I'm not watching that. I was like, I've been using it for like 4 years. I'm sure I can get these answers. It's like, I know that if you press Control R, you get a rectangle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an alright program. My friend, he loves to hate it. He's like Adobe all the way. But, you know, it's horses and courses, isn't it?
Yeah. I've used Adobe and I like it, you know, but I want to do it quickly. And I also want my clients to access it quickly. And I think what happens with Adobe, obviously there's Adobe Express now, but a lot of people who are designers and have just always used Adobe, and that's like their preferred, they are making their money from all those minor tweaks that clients need. So if you design something for them and then they're like, oh yeah, great, but I need it in 3 different variations, that designer then goes, great, here's another invoice. You know, whereas Canva like takes that away. So I think in some respects, it's almost like marketers saying, oh, AI, oh, it won't replace us. It's kind of that same piece that designers are going, oh, Canva, can't replace a proper designer. And it's like, no, but it's not trying to either. Like, AI is absolutely awful if you don't know how to use it. And it sounds like AI. So it's like with everything, isn't it? You've got to know how to use it. And it's not really the software. I always talk about this. It's not the software, but it gets blamed. It's actually the skill set. Because you could use Adobe and be horrendous if you don't know how to use it, you know, and just still design something that looks like it got knocked up in Canva.
Yeah, it's like, did you do that in Canva? Actually, no, I've done it in Adobe, and it's taken. I've watched YouTube for 20 hours so that I could do that, and they're like, sorry about that.
Yeah, you could have done that in Canva in 10 minutes.
Okay, let's wrap these questions up. Question number 5: how many unread emails do you have on your phone right now?
I actually have 29. That's not that bad.
You need to get your VA on that.
We've been talking for an hour now.
No, that's good. Hundreds. We like hundreds and thousands. I think one guest had like so many that they'd lost count. The iPhone couldn't even tell them anymore.
I can't do that. That would stress me out. I mean, everything is categorized. Everything is like, even if I don't read it, I'll move it to a folder that's not my actual inbox, to deal with later or whatever. But in my inbox, yeah, I'm like, it has to be read and dealt with.
Good stuff. Right. Quick fire questions. Well, not quick fire questions. They're not called that anymore. Questions done. Good answers there, G. I like them. And obviously, little side quests. We managed to fit Canva in there. We fit Dobby in there. We fit some feet stuff in there.
Covered all the bases.
All the bases covered. Okay, so what do you want to do? What do you want to be if and when you grow up?
I intend to never grow up because
Good answer.
I think it's boring. But I would very much like to move to Cyprus and own a villa and do some sort of fancy retreats there and live out my days in the sunshine, permanently tanned.
Sounds good to me. Are you going to do that? Are you going to do the graphic banging Canva graphics on the side? Or
Banging Cypriot Canva graphics, absolutely. Yeah, I think I will always do something creative. And that's just my path now. Like, now that I'm on it, I'm like, I can't imagine doing anything that's not creative in my life. But whether that is painting or singing or creating graphics or I don't know. And I'm kind of really open to it. I don't feel like I have to do this forever. I just feel like I have to be open to whatever creativity kind of comes my way. And that is part of being creative, isn't it? You just merge and you kind of move and you're like, let's just see how it goes, and you're not rigid. That is creativity. So yeah, as long as I'm doing that, I'm in.
I like it. That is reminded me a point from earlier in the show. When you first started Radio Social, you used to offer like full social media packages, didn't you?
Yeah.
But was it social media package? What have you done? You've ruined my show.
A full package. Yes, I used to offer the full package.
The full package to your members, or right? Okay, I might cut this bit out.
What is it?
You're lowering the tone of my kind of professional podcast.
Yeah, professional. Professional G is here.
Professional. Pref. All right. So yeah. So you used to offer social. I'm not going to cut it out. I'm going to leave it in because I think people will laugh. So you used to offer full social media, right? Like I'll done for you, as it were. That's the words. But then you was it? How long ago was it you pivoted?
Pivot. I pivoted. I think this is the 3rd year now. Yeah, I think it is the 3rd year. I think when I first started my business, I just was kind of like, I need to do as much as I can, like just to get some money. I'll just do everything. And because I had like a really generalist point of view in social media marketing, I did Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And then, which brought money, obviously, which was great. But then as I went on, I was kind of like, I really don't like this. I want to outsource this bit. So if I want to outsource it, then I need to get rid of it, And I did make that pivot because I was just finding that I was in Canva all the time. That was the only bit I never wanted to outsource, is creating the graphics, creating content. And I kind of made a really brave decision because part of me was thinking I'm never going to be able to make as much money not offering a full management service if I just offer content creation. So I did pivot, and I did still have tests from people saying, can you just do this? Or can you just do everything? And I have to be really rigid and just go, you know what? No, like, I just want to do content. That's what brings me joy. I know loads of marketers, loads of great ones. So I can give you this or give you that or hand you on to whoever. And I kind of just did it like that. And then I became known as, oh yeah, she only does graphics, or, oh yeah, she only does content creation, but she's great or whatever. And it took a while, but I'm glad that I did pivot and was really strict with myself and just say, I don't want to offer everything, And I think it's also good to say, like, it's okay if you enjoy that. If you enjoy a bit of everything, like, it's okay to offer a bit of everything. It's just, for me, I didn't get joy out of that. And I would dread it. I would dread the certain bits of it, the management side of it, looking at analytics and things like that. Even though I still do it for myself and other clients now, I don't offer that full management service anymore.
Yeah, it's I dislike social media. I was like, I think it was like the end of last year. I was like, if I get any more inquiries, I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not doing it anymore. Even the bits that I do, and I say I will provide a presence. I don't say, full on, I'm going to make you hundreds of thousands of followers and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. And then one client, I spoke to them and I was like, right, I'm out. I'm done. I'll post you occasionally. I'll go to one of your sites when you've done one of your things, take a few pictures, and I'll post that on your site. And that's good enough.
Mm.
And they were like, okay, cool. And then one of my other clients was like, I'm sorry, we're going to have to end the contract.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. And these are both social media ones. And didn't hear from another client for a little while. I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, I'm out. I've done it, boys and girls. I'm out. Social media's gone. No more for Radmin. If you want social media, you can have it from my friends that offer a full social media here, or this friend here. I will find someone for you that does social media. And then first client comes back and says, I really need you. We need to go all in. I'm talking hours per month. And I was like, oh. And then second client comes back. Hey, I know we couldn't work together anymore, but I've changed my mind. Can you come back? I was like, oh. And then the third client, they rock up too, like, oh, hey, I'm back. I was like, I was out. I had my foot out the door. I had my coat on, big coat as well. Yeah. I was out into the snow, admin only, and now I'm back. But it's like, it's a presence. It's like, I'm not analytic and I'm not doing any of that.
We've got to make it work. Like, we don't work for anyone else. We work for ourselves. So why are we taking stuff on we don't like? If you don't enjoy it, like, get rid of it. Like, I think what I realized is no one is telling me what to do apart from myself. So why am I not talking to myself and saying, you don't like that bit? You don't work for anyone. Like, what are you doing? You might as well just go work in an employed job where you have to take on other people's stuff that you don't want to do. Like, just get rid of it. And yeah, I think that is really key, that this is your business. Like, how you run it is okay for you, and that's fine. However, whatever that looks like, there's no judgment. If it works for you and you're happy with it, crack on.
Yeah, I like it. So, with regard to what you offer now, give us a very brief what kind of things people can expect if they're going to work with you, and then we'll do the old W word.
Okay. Banging Canva graphics, obviously, absolute banging content. And when I say that, I mean graphics that make you stand out for whoever you are, whether that is, a wallflower. You can still stand out, but you can just be the most standy outest wallflower in your sector. So yeah, basically content creation for service providers is my main jam. So either it will be monthly retainer graphics where I create the Canva graphics for you and you post them, or it'll be a full content package where I would create the strategy, the graphics or the reels and the copy, and then hand it back to you and you post it or you do whatever you want with it. And then I also have different things like Canva sessions, Canva power hours. I've got a couple of digital products. There's all sorts of good stuff. But the main things that I offer are either Canva graphics or like a full content package every month.
Nice. Perfect. And if someone wants to find you on the internet, G, where do they look?
I am at Ray of Social on everything, mainly Instagram, because that's where I live. But yeah, rayofsocial.com as well. Everywhere.
.com. Cool. Right, I think that is us done, G.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming on. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been good.
Okay, so we'll let G be for now, and I think we'll get on with some work. If you're still here, thanks for watching, and thanks to G for coming on. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week with another guest. Peace out. Cue outro. Thanks for joining us on Rad-Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite platform. Always happy to chat, so hit me up in the DMs, and I'll see you on the next Rad-Venture.